The dust never settled on Mars. It clung to everything: skin, clothes, machinery, a constant reminder that humans didn't belong here. Anya Petrova wiped the fine red particles from her goggles and peered through the cracked binoculars at the transport train snaking across the crimson wasteland. The red dust mining colony, once humanity's greatest achievement in space exploration, had become their prison. "Confirm visual on the cargo," she whispered into her makeshift communicator, a salvaged piece from a mining drone. "Sentinel transport approaching Junction 17, came Malik's reply, the young hacker's voice crackling through static. 4 Warden units visible on exterior guard positions. Anya's grip tightened on the binoculars. The Sentinels, a technologically superior entity that had arrived on Mars 5 years ago, had quickly transformed the mining colony from a testament to human ingenuity into a harvesting ground for resources and test subjects. Their semi-autonomous robotic enforcers, the Wardens, maintained order through ruthless efficiency. "Beck, what's your position?" Anya asked. "East Ridge, 300 meters from track," responded the gruff voice of the former military veteran. "I've got clean shots on the rear guards if needed. Hold position. We stick to the plan." Anya's voice was firm, masking the doubt gnawing at her insides. Her resistance cell, once 30 strong, had dwindled to just 7. This mission was their last desperate gamble. She turned to Eliza, the group's medic, who was checking supplies in her warm backpack. "How are we on meds?" Eliza shook her head. 3 antibiotic doses, 1 blood coagulant patch, 2 adrenaline shots. Not enough if things go sideways. Anya nodded grimly. Their supplies were critically low, water recyclers failing, power cells depleted, medicine almost gone. The intelligence they'd received about this particular Sentinel transport, carrying essential supplies, was their only hope for survival. "We've been through worse," Anya said, not believing her own words. Eliza's eyes, prematurely aged in a face still young, met Anya's. "Have we?" The question hung in the dusty air between them, unanswered. Anya turned away, allowing her gaze to drift over the desolate landscape of their once promising new world. The memories came unbidden of life before the Sentinels, when the colony bustled with scientific advancement and hopeful settlers. She had been the lead mechanical engineer for the atmosphere processors, working alongside her brother Mikhail and under the guidance of Dr. Lenkov, the brilliant mind behind Mars' terraforming initiative. That life ended when the Sentinels arrived. They had appeared suddenly, massive geometric structures descending from space, initially mistaken for asteroids. By the time the colony understood what was happening, it was too late. The Wardens deployed, the Enforcers culling resistance and establishing dominion. Dr. Lenkov was among the first to be taken for special research. Mikhail had fallen during the initial uprising, trying to defend the main habitat dome. Anya still felt the phantom weight of his body as she had dragged him through the service tunnels, his blood leaving a trail soon followed by Wardens. She had escaped, he hadn't. Movement at the storage cars. Malik's voice snapped her back to the present. "They're unloading something. Doesn't look like supplies." Anya refocused her binoculars. The train had slowed near a small outpost station, and Wardens were removing what appeared to be a cylindrical container, glowing with an eerie blue light. "What is that?" she murmured. "Unknown tech," replied Reza, their tech specialist who was studying the scene through a modified scope. "But the energy signature is stronger than anything I've seen them transport before." Anya made a split-second decision. Change of plans. Beck, Sonia, converge on the unloading point. Malik, jam their comms on my signal. Reza, Eliza with me. We're going to intercept that container. The resistance members moved without question, trusting Anya's judgment despite the deviation from their carefully constructed plan. They had survived this long by adapting, by seizing opportunities where they presented themselves. As they moved through the rocky terrain, keeping low and using the red dust storms for cover, Anya couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. For better or worse remained to be seen. The team positioned themselves around the unloading area. From her vantage point, Anya could see the Wardens more clearly now, humanoid in basic shape, but with multiple articulated limbs and sensory arrays where faces should be. Their armor gleamed with the same blue energy that emanated from the container. 60 seconds, Anya whispered into her communicator. Beck, on my mark, take out the power relays. Malik's response, followed by a series of coded tones as he activated the crude but effective jamming device, his own invention, cobbled together from scavenged Sentinel tech. Anya could see the immediate effect as the wardens paused, their synchronized movements becoming momentarily erratic as their communication network suffered disruption. Now, she commanded. Beck's shot was precise, striking the power junction, servicing the unloading station. Sparks erupted, and emergency lights flickered on as the main illumination failed. Simultaneously, Sonia deployed the smoke canisters, billowing red-tinged clouds providing additional cover. Anya, Reza, and Eliza moved quickly, using the momentary confusion to approach the container. The wardens, recovering from the communications disruption, began a methodical search pattern, their weapon arms extended. Hurry, Anya urged as Reza began interfacing with the container security systems. His fingers flew over the control panel, bypassing security protocols at remarkable speed, a skill that saved their lives numerous times. Almost there, he muttered. This encryption is more complex than usual. Whatever's inside, they really don't want anyone accessing it. The container seal finally released with a hiss of pressurized air. As the lid retracted, the blue glow intensified. What is it? Eliza asked, peering inside. Reza's eyes widened. It's not supplies. It's some kind of biotechnological core. Sentinel technology. Anya stared at the pulsating blue mass. Organic yet mechanical, suspended in a clear solution. What does it do? Based on these readings, Reza said, checking his scanner, it's designed to interface with human neural systems. This is a control mechanism, something that could allow the Sentinels to override human autonomy on a massive scale. A cold dread settled in Anya's stomach. They're planning to turn us into them. Or worse, use us as an extension of them, Reza replied. We need to destroy it. Anya decided immediately. Wait, Eliza interjected. If we could study it, maybe we could find a weakness or even reverse engineer it to use against them. Before they could decide, a piercing alarm cut through the air. The wardens had detected them. Too late, Anya said grimly. Grab the core if we can, destroy it if we can't. Beck, Sonia, provide covering fire for extraction. The situation deteriorated rapidly. More wardens emerged from the train, their movements precise and lethal. Beck and Sonia engaged them from their positions, but the resistance fighters were severely outgunned. Malik, status? Anya called into her communicator. Southern exit route compromised, came the tense reply. They've deployed airborne units. We're surrounded. Anya made another quick decision. Fall back to emergency exit point B. We'll rendezvous at the sanctuary. She turned to Reza, who was attempting to disconnect the core from its housing. We need to move now. Almost got it, he insisted, his fingers working frantically. A mechanical whine announced the arrival of a warden unit, larger than the others, its armor more elaborate. A command warden. Reza, go, Anya shouted, raising her pulse rifle and firing at the approaching warden. The energy bolts deflected off its shielding, barely slowing its advance. Got it, Reza exclaimed, lifting the core from its container. The blue glow dimmed slightly as it disconnected. Get that to the exit point, Anya ordered. Eliza, go with him. I'll hold them off. Eliza hesitated. Anya, that's an order. Anya snapped, firing another volley at the command warden. Reluctantly, Eliza and Reza retreated, carrying the precious and dangerous cargo. Anya continued firing, backing away slowly, trying to buy them time. But the command warden was relentless, shrugging off her attacks as if they were merely annoyances. Anya's rifle whined in warning, the charge depleting. She had one energy cell left in her belt. As she reached for it, the command warden surged forward with unexpected speed. She barely evaded its first strike, rolling to the side as its blade-like appendage sliced through the air where she had stood. Rising quickly, She slammed the fresh energy cell into her rifle and fired point-blank at the warden's sensor array. The shot connected, momentarily disorienting the machine. Anya used the opportunity to run, knowing she couldn't defeat it in direct combat. The sanctuary was 2 kilometers away, through the maze of abandoned mining tunnels that had become the Resistance's secret highway. She had covered less than 50 meters when a searing pain exploded across her back. The force of the energy blast threw her forward, face first, into the red dust. Her rifle skittered away, beyond reach. Gasping, Anya rolled onto her back, feeling the burn of the wound. The command warden approached methodically, joined now by 2 standard wardens. Somewhere in the distance, she could hear the sounds of battle. Her team fighting their own desperate battles to escape. Human resistance is illogical, came the synthesized voice of the command warden, a rare occurrence. They seldom communicated directly with their prey. You prolong inevitable outcomes. Anya struggled to her feet, drawing her sidearm, a last resort weapon with limited effectiveness against warden armor. Humans are illogical by nature, she spat back. That's what you'll never understand. The command warden tilted its sensor array, an almost curious gesture. Understanding is not required for control. It moved with that same unnerving speed, closing the distance between them. Anya fired her sidearm, the shots absorbed by the warden's energy field. She dodged the first swing of its blade, but the second caught her, a glancing blow across her shoulder that still cut deep. Staggering backward, Anya felt warm blood soaking her jacket. The command warden continued its advance, its weapons reconfiguring. The 2 standard wardens flanked her, cutting off escape routes. The resistance specimen will be processed for analysis, the command warden stated. Compliance is recommended to minimize damage. Go to hell, Anya growled, raising her sidearm again. The command warden's response was swift and brutal. Its energy blade activated, glowing with the same blue light as the core. With precision born of artificial calculation, it swung. Time seemed to slow for Anya. She saw the blade arc toward her left arm, try to pull away, but her injuries had made her too slow. The energy blade connected just below her shoulder. There was a moment of absolute silence before the pain hit, searing, blinding agony as the blade sheared through flesh, muscle, and bone. Anya's scream echoed across the Martian landscape as her left arm separated completely from her body, the cauterizing effect of the energy blade preventing immediate blood loss but multiplying the pain. She fell to her knees, the world tilting and spinning around her. Her severed arm lay on the red dust several feet away, fingers still curled around her sidearm. The command warden stood over her, its sensor array studying her with cold mechanical curiosity. Human resilience data will be valuable, it stated. Specimen shows unusually high pain tolerance. Through the haze of agony, something hardened in Anya. A cold fury replaced the pain, crystallizing her thoughts into sudden clarity. She looked at her severed arm, then at the command warden looming above her. "You want data?" she snarled. With her remaining arm, Anya lunged forward, throwing herself toward her severed limb. Her fingers closed around her own wrist, a surreal sensation that her brain couldn't fully process. Using momentum and the last reserves of her strength, she swung the severed arm like a club, the hand still gripping the sidearm. The command warden, not programmed to anticipate such an irrational action, failed to react in time. The makeshift weapon, Anya's own flesh and bone, connected with its sensor array. Simultaneously, her thumb, still responsive through some nerve connection or sheer force of will, squeezed the trigger of the sidearm, still clutched in the severed hand's grip. At point-blank range, even the small sidearm penetrated the warden's defenses. The shot destroyed its primary optical sensor, sending the machine staggering backward, its movements suddenly erratic. Anya collapsed, the effort draining what little strength remained. The world began to dim around her, shock setting in rapidly. Through fading consciousness, she saw the command warden thrashing, its systems compromised. The standard wardens moved to assist it, momentarily ignoring her. Then a barrage of weapons fire erupted from somewhere behind her. Beck's voice shouted commands. Sonia appeared at her side, face etched with horror at Anya's condition. Get the core. Anya managed to gasp before darkness claimed her. Anya drifted in and out of consciousness as her team carried her through the mining tunnels. Fragments of sensation and conversation reached her through the fog of pain and shock. Losing too much blood. Can't stop here. She's not going to make it. Did you see what she did? When awareness finally returned fully, Anya found herself in the sanctuary, the abandoned research outpost that served as the Resistance's hidden base. The stark lighting hurt her eyes, and the pain in her left side was a constant, throbbing presence. Eliza's face appeared above her. Don't try to move, she said softly. You're stable, but barely. Anya's first thought was of the mission. The core. We got it, Eliza confirmed. Ray's analyzing it now. But Anya, her voice faltered. I know. Anya didn't need to look to understand the extent of her injury. The absence of her left arm created a phantom sensation. She could still feel fingers that were no longer there. Beck? Sonia? Malik? Beck took a hit, but he'll recover. Sonia and Malik are fine. They went back for you when you didn't make the rendezvous. Foolish, Anya mumbled. Loyal, Eliza corrected. Anya attempted to sit up, ignoring Eliza's protests. The room swam around her momentarily before steadying. The sanctuary's main chamber was bustling with activity, more people than just their small cell. Who are they? Anya asked, noting unfamiliar faces. Other resistance cells, Eliza explained. They started arriving after we brought you back. Word spread. Word of what? Eliza seemed uncomfortable. Of what you did. The Sentinel's surveillance captured it. Somehow the footage leaked into the colony's remaining communication networks. Reza approached, his expression a mixture of awe and concern. You become a symbol, Anya. The woman who picked up her own arm and struck back. It's spreading through every settlement and outpost. Anya closed her eyes, processing this unwelcome information. I was just trying to survive. It's more than that, Sonia said, joining them. The normally stoic woman's eyes shone with something Anya hadn't seen in years. Hope. You showed them that even when they take everything from us, we can still fight back, using their own brutality against them. I lost an arm, Anya said flatly. How does that help us fight? Beck, his shoulder bandage, stepped forward. It's not about the arm, Petrova. It's about what you did with it. The Sentinels don't understand human irrationality. It's their weakness. You prove that. Anya looked around at the faces watching her, her team, the newcomers, all bearing the marks of years under Sentinel rule, all carrying losses similar to her own. Yet now, they looked at her with something beyond respect or sympathy, something dangerous. I'm not a symbol, she insisted. I'm not a leader. Maybe not, said a voice from the back of the group. A tall man stepped forward, his face bearing scars that suggested previous encounters with wardens. But symbols have power, especially in times like these. And whether you chose it or not, you've given us one. Over the next few days, as Anya recovered, more resistance fighters arrived at the sanctuary. What had been a small, desperate cell was transforming into something larger, more organized. Ray's analysis of the core revealed its true purpose, a prototype for mass neural control designed to turn human minds into extensions of the Sentinel network. The implications were horrifying. The Sentinels weren't merely subjugating humanity. They were planning to absorb them. 1 week after the train incident, Anya sat alone in the small alcove that had become her private space, examining the crude prosthetic arm Reza and Malik had constructed for her, made from salvaged mining equipment and spare parts. It was functional but primitive, capable of basic gripping motions but lacking fine motor control. It's just the first version, Reza had apologized. We'll improve it as we find better components. Anya had nodded, grateful for their efforts but still struggling to accept her new reality. The phantom pain persisted, and she often found herself reaching for objects with an arm that was no longer there. Eliza entered without knocking, a habit that had become common as her role shifted from medic to something closer to a confidant. "They're waiting," she said simply. "Anya Said. I never agreed to this meeting. They came anyway." Eliza's tone was sympathetic but firm. "You can't hide in here forever, Anya." "I'm not hiding. I am recovering." "You're avoiding making a decision." Anya glared at her friend, but there was no real anger behind it. Eliza was right, as usual. The resistance cells that had gathered were looking to her for direction, for a plan, for leadership she had never sought. "What would Mikhail do?" Eliza asked gently. The mention of her brother sent a familiar pang through Anya's chest. "He'd say I'm being stubborn." "He'd be right." Anya stood, adjusting the prosthetic arm. It felt alien, wrong, yet necessary. "Fine. Let's get this over with." The main chamber had been transformed into a makeshift command center. Maps of the colony and surrounding areas covered tables, while communications equipment, much of it newly acquired, hummed along one wall. Around 30 people filled the space, falling silent as Anya entered. Beck stepped forward. "Glad you could join us, Petrova." Anya ignored the sarcasm. "What's the situation?" "The Sentinels have increased warden patrols by 300%, reported Malik, gesturing to data streams on a salvaged monitor. "They're hunting for us, for you specifically." "They're scared," said the scarred man who had spoken to Anya before. She had learned his name was Farron, leader of a resistance cell from the northern habitats. "Your action disrupted their predictive models. Or they're just angry we stole their neural core," Anya countered. "It's more than that," Reza interjected. "The symbol you created, it's spreading. Look." He activated a projection, showing images captured from various parts of the colony. Crude drawings on walls, markings on doors, digital graffiti on public terminals, all showing the same symbol. A stylized human arm, raised in defiance. "They call it the upswing," Sonia explained. "It's become a rallying point. Even people who never resisted before are using it. Small acts of defiance are breaking out everywhere." Anya studied the images, feeling a complex mixture of pride, responsibility, and fear. "The Sentinels will crack down harder." "They already are," Beck confirmed grimly. "Public executions have resumed in the central domes. They're making examples of anyone caught with the symbol." "Then we need to stop using it," Anya said. "We can't encourage people to risk their lives for graffiti." "It's too late for that," Farron said. "The symbol has taken on a life of its own. But we can give it purpose, direction." The gathering looked expectantly at Anya. She felt the weight of their gaze, their hope, their expectation that she would somehow transform their scattered resistance into a meaningful opposition. "I'm an engineer, not a revolutionary," she said finally. "You're both now," Eliza replied. "Like it or not." Anya's mind raced, considering options, weighing risks. The Sentinels were powerful, but not invincible. Their dependence on the Wardens was a potential weakness, as was their apparent confusion when faced with human irrationality. And now they had the neural core, a piece of Sentinel technology that could potentially be weaponized against its creators. "The core," she said suddenly. "Reza, is there any way to reverse its function? To use it against the Sentinels rather than humans?" Reza considered. "Theoretically, yes. It's designed to create a network connection. If we could alter its programming and deploy it at a central Sentinel facility, we could disrupt their entire command structure," Anya finished. "Create confusion in the Warden ranks." The room buzzed with renewed energy as the implications became clear. "It would require access to a primary Sentinel hub," Malik pointed out. "The security would be impossible to breach." "Not impossible," Beck countered. "Just very, very difficult. But worth attempting," Farron added. "If it worked, it could create an opening for a larger uprising." Anya felt a plan forming in her mind. Dangerous, potentially suicidal, but with a slim chance of success. Something the Sentinels wouldn't expect. "We'll need a diversion," she said, her voice growing stronger. "Something big enough to draw their attention away from the hub. And we'll need a small team to infiltrate with a modified core." The meeting transformed into a planning session, with each cell contributing ideas, resources, and intelligence. As the hours passed, Anya found herself fully engaged, her engineering mind attacking problems, finding solutions, building a strategy piece by piece. By the time they finished, dawn was breaking outside the sanctuary. The plan was set, a coordinated attack on multiple fronts, designed to create maximum disruption, while a specialized team led by Anya would infiltrate the Sentinel hub and deploy the modified core. As the others dispersed to begin preparations, Eliza remained at Anya's side. "Are you sure about this?" she asked quietly. Anya looked down at her prosthetic arm, then at the symbol of the upswing projected on the wall. "No," she admitted, "but I'm sure about what happens if we do nothing." In the days that followed, the resistance moved with new purpose. The cells coordinated their efforts, pooling resources and intelligence. Reza and a team of engineers worked tirelessly to modify the neural core, reprogramming it to target Sentinel systems rather than human minds. Anya threw herself into preparation, pushing through the pain and limitations of her injury. She trained with her prosthetic arm until she could handle weapons effectively again. The phantom pain remained, but she learned to use it as a focus for her determination. Word of the planned uprising spread through secure channels to other resistance groups across the colony. The symbol of the upswing became a code, a way to identify allies and coordinate movements without direct communication. The Sentinels, sensing the change in resistance activities, increased their oppressive measures. Curfews tightened, rations decreased, and warden patrols grew more frequent and brutal. But their actions only fueled the spreading resistance. 2 weeks after the train incident, Anya stood on a ridge overlooking the central Sentinel hub, a massive geometric structure that dominated the Martian landscape. Around her, resistance fighters made final preparations for the assault that would begin at dawn. "Reminds me of the old military saying," Beck commented, joining her at the observation point. "No plan survives contact with the enemy." "Encouraging," Anya replied dryly. Beck shrugged, "Just saying we should be ready to improvise." "We always are." Anya turned to face him. "Are the charges set at the southern perimeter?" "All in place. When they blow, it'll look like a major attack from that direction." "In the eastern diversion?" "Sonia has it covered. Mining transports are rigged to create maximum chaos without casualties." "On indeed, satisfied." Their plan relied on drawing Warden forces away from the hub's northern access point, where her infiltration team would enter with the modified core. "You should get some rest," Beck suggested. "Big day tomorrow." Anya looked back at the hub, its blue lights pulsing against the Martian night. "I'll try." Rest didn't come easily. In her makeshift quarters, Anya found herself thinking of Mikhail, of Dr. Lenkov, of all those lost in the years of Sentinel rule, of her own sacrifice, symbolized by the prosthetic arm that now lay beside her cot. Was it worth it? She whispered to the emptiness, not expecting an answer. At dawn, the resistance struck. Multiple explosions rocked the southern perimeter of the Sentinel hub, followed by the chaotic rush of mining transports from the east, remotely controlled vehicles crashing through defensive barriers. Warden units responded predictably, deploying in force to counter the perceived threats. From her position with the infiltration team, Anya watched the massive doors on the northern side sliding open, releasing additional Warden units to join the defense. "That's our window," she said into her communicator. "Move on my signal." The 6-person team, Anya, Reza, Malik, and 3 specialists from other cells, waited for the last Warden unit to clear the northern entrance. Now Anya commanded. They moved swiftly across the open ground, using the dust and chaos for cover. Malik deployed signal jammers as they approached, creating a blind spot in the Sentinel surveillance network. The entrance was guarded by automated defense systems rather than wardens, a calculation the Sentinels would soon regret. Reza quickly bypassed the security protocols, his understanding of Sentinel technology having grown exponentially since acquiring the neural core. Inside, the hub was a maze of glowing conduits and geometric chambers. The team moved carefully, following the path they had mapped from stolen schematics. Twice they had to hide as Warden patrols passed, responding to the external threats. "The central processor should be 2 levels down," Reza whispered, consulting his scanner. "That's where we need to deploy the core." They found an access shaft and descended, the blue glow intensifying as they approached the heart of the Sentinel hub. The modified neural core, carried in a specialized container by one of the specialists, pulsed with matching light, as if recognizing its counterpart. The central processor chamber was vast, a cathedral-like space filled with swirling energy patterns and pulsating machinery. At its center stood a column of pure blue light, stretching from floor to ceiling. There, Reza pointed. The integration point is at the base of that column. Anya surveyed the chamber. No guards? They never expected anyone to get this far, Malik suggested. Or they don't think we could do any damage even if we did. Let's prove them wrong. Anya nodded to the specialist carrying the core. Set it up. The team moved to the central column. Reza and the specialist began the delicate process of interfacing the modified core with the Sentinel systems, while the others maintained a defensive perimeter. How long? Anya asked tensely. 5 minutes to establish connection, Reza replied. Another 3 to initiate the disruption sequence. Work fast. I don't think we have. An alarm blared, cutting off her words. Red light flooded the chamber, replacing the soothing blue. Intrusion detected, came a synthesized voice echoing throughout the space. Deploying containment measures. They're on to us, Malik warned unnecessarily, readying his weapon. Doors around the perimeter of the chamber slid open, and warden units poured through. More than they had anticipated, more than their diversions should have allowed. Keep working, Anya ordered Reza. We'll hold them off. The infiltration team formed a defensive ring around Reza and the core, weapons raised. Anya felt a strange calm settle over her as she faced the approaching wardens. This moment had been inevitable from the start, a final stand against overwhelming odds. For Mars, she said quietly, then opened fire. The battle was ferocious and one-sided. The resistance fighters fought with desperate courage, but the wardens kept coming, their precise movements and superior weaponry gradually overwhelming the humans' defenses. 2 of the specialists fell within the first minute. Malik took a glancing hit, but remained standing, his automatic weapon cutting down wardens with surprising efficiency. Anya fought with grim determination, her prosthetic arm limiting her mobility but not her accuracy. She positioned herself directly between the approaching wardens and Reza, becoming a human shield. Almost there, Reza called over the sound of weapons fire. Connection established. Initiating disruption sequence. A new presence entered the chamber. The command warden from the train incident, its damaged sensor array replaced, but still bearing marks of Anya's desperate attack. It moved toward her with purpose, ignoring the others. Resistance leader identified, it stated. Termination authorized. Anya raised her weapon, but the command warden was faster. A pulse of energy struck her chest, sending her flying backward. She crashed into the base of the central column, the impact driving the air from her lungs. The command warden approached, weapon arm raised for a killing blow. Your symbolic value ends here. Through pain-blurred vision, Anya saw Reza working frantically at the core controls, the disruption sequence still incomplete. She saw Malik falling under a barrage of warden fire. She saw the remaining specialist fighting a hopeless battle against overwhelming numbers. And she saw her prosthetic arm, damaged by the impact, hanging uselessly at her side. With a surge of defiance, Anya reached over with her right hand and detached the prosthetic, the quick-release mechanism yielding easily. Holding the artificial limb like a club, she rose to her feet. You still don't understand, she told the command warden, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth. Symbols don't die with people. They multiply. The command warden paused, perhaps processing this irrational statement. In that moment of hesitation, Anya struck, swinging the prosthetic arm with all her remaining strength. It connected with the warden's sensor array, the impact staggering the machine backward. Now, Reza, she shouted. Reza slammed his hand down on the final control. The modified neural core flared with blinding light, interfacing completely with the Sentinel systems. A shockwave of energy pulsed outward from the central column. Every warden in the chamber froze simultaneously, their movements halting mid-action. The command warden's sensor array flickered erratically, its synthetic voice distorting into unintelligible noise. The disruption spread through the hub, from system to system, creating a cascading failure in the Sentinel command network. Throughout the colony, wardens stopped functioning, their connection to the Central Intelligence severed. In the chaos, the remaining resistance fighters seized the opportunity. What had been planned as a diversion transformed into a genuine assault, with cells across the colony striking at vulnerable Sentinel installations. Within the central chamber, Anya collapsed beside the neural core, her strength finally giving out. Reza, wounded but alive, crawled to her side. "Did it work?" she asked weakly. "Yes," he confirmed, wonder in his voice. "The entire network is disrupted. It worked better than we expected. The core isn't just blocking commands, it's rewriting them. The wardens are turning against each other." Anya smiled faintly. "Good." Her consciousness faded, the sounds of battle growing distant. Her last thought before darkness claimed her was of Mikhail, and the hope that wherever he was, he would be proud. Anya woke to unfamiliar surroundings. A clean room with proper medical equipment, so unlike the sanctuary's makeshift infirmary. Sunlight streamed through actual windows, casting warm patterns across the bed. Eliza appeared in her field of vision, looking exhausted but smiling. "Welcome back. Where am I?" Anya's voice was hoarse from disuse. "Central Dome Medical Facility," Eliza replied. "Former Sentinel headquarters. It's been repurposed." Anya tried to sit up, wincing at the pain that radiated through her body. "How long?" 3 weeks. You've been in and out of consciousness. We weren't sure you'd make it." The memories came flooding back. The battle in the Sentinel hub, the modified core, the command warden. The mission. Eliza's smile widened. Success beyond anything we expected. The neural core didn't just disrupt the Sentinel network. It rewrote it completely. The wardens turned against their masters, then shut down entirely. The Sentinels? Gone. At least from Mars. They abandoned the colony once their control systems failed. Their mothership left orbit 2 days after the attack. Anya struggled to process this information. Victory had seemed like such a distant, almost mythical concept for so long that its sudden reality was difficult to comprehend. And the others? Reza? Malik? Eliza's expression sobered. Malik didn't make it. He took too many hits covering your escape from the hub. Reza survived, though he's still recovering. Beck and Sonia are fine. They're coordinating the restoration efforts. Anya closed her eyes, absorbing the news of Malik's death. Another name added to the long list of those lost in the struggle. When she opened them again, she noticed something strange attached to her left shoulder. Not the crude prosthetic she had become accustomed to, but something sleeker, more advanced. Following her gaze, Eliza explained Sentinel technology. Reza and some of the other engineers adapted it. They've been doing the same with a lot of the tech left behind, repurposing it for reconstruction. Anya cautiously attempted to move the new arm. To her astonishment, it responded with fluid precision, the fingers flexing exactly as she intended, almost as if it were her original limb. "It interfaces directly with your neural pathways," Eliza said. Ironically, similar technology to what the Sentinels plan to use against us. "Fitting," Anya murmured, continuing to test the arm's capabilities. A knock at the door interrupted them. Beck entered, looking more relaxed than Anya had ever seen him, though still carrying himself with military bearing. "The legend awakens," he said with a rare smile. "Good timing. People have been asking about you." "What people?" "Everyone." The story of what happened in the hub spread throughout the colony. The woman who swung her arm twice is quite the popular tale. Anya grimaced. "Great. More symbolism. Don't fight it, Petrova. Symbols matter. Especially now, when we're rebuilding." Eliza stood. "Speaking of which, there's a council meeting in an hour. They'll want to know you're awake." "Council? Provisional government," Beck explained. "Representatives from each habitat, dome, and outpost. They've been organizing the reconstruction efforts, establishing new systems. Without Sentinel control, we've had to restart a lot of essential services from scratch," Eliza added. It's been challenging, but people are working together in ways they haven't for years. Anya looked down at her new arm, then back at her friends. I need to see it. All of it. Despite Eliza's medical objections, Beck helped Anya dress and leave the medical facility. Outside, the central dome of the Mars colony spread before them, transformed from the oppressive, sentinel-controlled environment of before into a bustling center of human activity. The blue lighting that had characterized Sentinel occupation was gone, replaced by the warm, natural spectrum that the colony had originally used. Where warden patrol routes had once restricted movement, people now walked freely, carrying materials, operating equipment, or simply conversing in open spaces. It's like before, Anya said softly. Before they came. Not quite, Beck replied. But getting there, we lost a lot. Infrastructure, knowledge, people. But we gained something too. Unity, maybe, purpose. As they moved through the dome, people recognized Anya. Some nodded respectfully. Others approached to express gratitude or simply to touch her arm. The flesh and blood one, as if confirming she was real and not just a symbol. In the central plaza, where Sentinel announcements had once been projected, a crude but powerful mural dominated one wall. A stylized depiction of a woman with one arm, facing a mechanical opponent, with what was clearly a severed limb raised in defiance. The upswing had evolved from simple graffiti to public art. Anya stopped, staring at the image. I don't know if I can live up to this. You already have, came a familiar voice. Reza approached, walking with a noticeable limp, his face bearing new scars, but his eyes bright with the same intelligence and determination. Eliza said you were awake. How's the arm? Anya flexed the Sentinel-derived prosthetic. Strange, but incredible. Your work, mine, and Dr. Lenkoff's. Anya froze. Dr. Lenkoff? He's alive. Reza nodded. We found him and other scientists in a hidden Sentinel research facility. They were forced to work on the neural interface technology. Once the Sentinels abandoned the colony, they were freed. Lenkoff recognized your name immediately. He's been instrumental in adapting Sentinel tech for human use. The council meeting took place in what had once been the colony's administrative center. Around a large table sat representatives from various sections of the colony, some faces Anya recognized from resistance cells, others completely unknown to her. At the head of the table stood Farron, the scarred resistance leader from the northern habitats. He introduced Anya formally, though no introduction was truly necessary. Anya Petrova, your actions made this council possible. Mars is free because of you and those who fought alongside you. I just did what was necessary, Anya replied uncomfortably. We all did. Nevertheless, your perspective would be valuable as we determine our path forward. The council was debating the colony's future, whether to re-establish contact with Earth, how to allocate resources, what to do with the remaining Sentinel technology. Some argued for destroying all traces of the invaders. Others, like Dr. Lenkoff, advocated for careful study and adaptation. Their technology could advance our scientific understanding by decades, the elderly scientist argued. Properly controlled, it could be used to complete the terraforming process. And risk another takeover? Countered another council member. The Sentinels might return, which is why we need to be stronger when they do, Beck interjected. Using their own technology against them seems appropriate. The debate continued, passionate but respectful. Anya observed more than participated, still adjusting to the reality of freedom, of open discussion without fear of warden reprisal. When directly asked for her opinion on the Sentinel technology, she looked down at her prosthetic arm, considering. This arm was made from the technology of those who took my original limb, she said finally. There's a certain justice in that. The Sentinels saw us as resources to be harvested or controlled. But we're more than that. We adapt, we repurpose, we transform. That's what they never understood about humanity. She flexed the fingers of the prosthetic, marveling again at their responsiveness. We should use what they left behind, but carefully, mindfully, never forgetting what it cost to obtain it or why we fought. The council members nodded in general agreement. The discussion moved on to practical matters: food production, water recycling, power distribution. The mundane but essential business of survival and rebuilding. Afterward, Anya stood at a viewport, looking out at the Martian landscape. The red dust still swirled across the surface, unchanged by the human drama that had played out upon it. In the distance, she could see the abandoned Sentinel hub, its geometric structure now dark and dormant. Eliza joined her, following her gaze. "What are you thinking?" "That we won a battle, not the war," Anya replied. "The Sentinels are still out there. You think they'll return? Eventually, when they've developed new strategies, new technologies." They didn't strike me as the type to accept defeat. Eliza nodded. "Then we'll be ready, will we?" "We have something they don't," Eliza said with conviction. "What you showed everyone. That even when they take everything from us, we can still fight back. Even when they shoot our arm off, we can pick it up and swing it." Despite herself, Anya smiled. "You make it sound so dignified." It wasn't dignified. It was human. And that's what saved us. 6 months later, Mars colony had transformed. The abandoned Sentinel hub had been converted into a research facility where Dr. Lenkoff and a team of scientists and engineers worked to understand and adapt the alien technology. The terraforming process, interrupted by the Sentinel invasion, had resumed with renewed vigor, using modified Sentinel atmospheric processors. The resistance cells had evolved into a planetary defense force, with Beck as its commander and Sonia as his second. They trained constantly, developing tactics specifically designed to counter Sentinel strategies, always assuming that someday they would need them. Anya, despite her protests, had become part of the governing council, her practical engineering mind and hard-earned wisdom valued in decisions large and small. Her prosthetic arm, now further refined with Dr. Lenkoff's help, had become not a symbol of loss, but of transformation, a visible reminder of humanity's capacity to adapt and overcome. The mural of the Upswing remained in the central plaza, joined now by other artworks celebrating the liberation. Children who had been born under Sentinel rule and knew only fear now played freely beneath these images, growing up with stories of resistance rather than submission. Communication with Earth had been reestablished, revealing that the home planet too had faced Sentinel incursions, though on a smaller scale. The knowledge and technology from Mars was being shared, preparing humanity as a whole for potential future conflicts. On the anniversary of the liberation, a memorial service was held for those lost in the struggle. Anya stood before the gathered colonists, uncomfortable with public speaking, but determined to honor the sacrifices made. "We remember Malik," she began, her voice carrying across the hushed crowd. "And Beck's brother Aaron, Dr. Santos from medical, Captain Lou from transport, Mikhail Petrov," her voice caught slightly on her brother's name, "and all the others who gave everything so that we could stand here today." She raised her prosthetic arm, its advanced design gleaming in the light. "They took parts of us, loved ones, homes, freedoms, even our limbs. But they never took what makes us human. Our irrationality, our unpredictability, our stubborn refusal to submit." The crowd murmured in agreement, many raising their arms in the now familiar gesture of the upswing. The Sentinels thought they understood us, could predict us, control us. They were wrong. And if they return, they'll be wrong again. After the ceremony, Anya walked alone to the outskirts of the expanded colony, to a small ridge overlooking the vast Martian landscape. The terraforming was making slow but steady progress. Small patches of engineered lichen now grew in protected valleys, the first step in a centuries-long process. She thought of Mikhail, of the future he had imagined for Mars before the Sentinels came. A difficult future, certainly, but one shaped by human hands for human benefit. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the red terrain. In the darkening sky, the first stars were becoming visible. Among them, perhaps, the Sentinels watched and waited. Anya flexed her prosthetic hand, feeling its perfect response to her thoughts. From the technology of oppression, they had forged tools of liberation. From loss, they had created strength. "We'll be ready," she said to the emerging stars, her voice carried away by the Martian wind. As darkness fell completely, She turned back toward the lights of the colony, a beacon of human resilience in the vastness of space. Whatever came next, they would face it together, transformed but unbroken by what they had endured. Behind her, the red dust swirled in the wind, gradually erasing her footprints, as it had done since long before humans arrived, and would continue to do long after they were gone. But for now, this small patch of Mars belonged to humanity, not as conquerors or as victims, but as survivors. And that, Anya thought as she walked toward the waiting lights, was enough.